Can you imagine Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay condensed into a single country? That's how the famous Argentine independence hero Manuel Belgrano imagined it. The most curious thing is that his project, called the United Kingdom of Peru, Chile, and the Rio de la Plata, wavered between becoming a European monarchy and a second Inca empire. But what are you interested in knowing? How were the ideas to unify the southern cone with Peru? Alright then, stay until the end of the video. This video has global reach thanks to Bribe's optimization technology. Do you want your content to break boundaries and reach new audiences effortlessly? I use Bribe's guide to automate my expansion and gain more visibility worldwide. If you want to globalize your content, sign up with me too, link in the description, to get a 20% discount. The 1810s in South America were, as my Argentine friends would say, a real mess. A mess in the dying viceroyalty of the Rio de la Plata. It wasn't so much between patriots and royalists, since the latter were expelled with relative ease, but rather among the independentist leaders themselves, who couldn't agree on how to proceed. The opinion of Manuel Belgrano, one of the most prominent Rio de la Plata heroes, was that federal republics were unworkable and that monarchies would guarantee internal order, and they would quickly gain recognition from the European monarchies who distrusted republics. His project then had two phases that were inspired by the Colombia of Francisco de Miranda, a country that united all of Spanish America. And look, Simon, you weren't the only one? By 1815, a monarchical constitution of the United Kingdom of the Rio de la Plata was drafted. Peru and Chile, as their names indicate, it was intended for these two countries to join Buenos Aires. This first project, promoted by Belgrano, was supported by other monarchist leaders such as Bernardino Rivadavia and Juan Martín de Pueyrredón. What's missing now? Well, a candidate for the throne. So, some delegations were sent to Europe to find one. Rivadavia and Belgrano proposed Francisco de Paula Bourbon, brother of King Fernando VII, and there was even talk of a possible marriage alliance with the House of Braganza, which was then based in Rio de Janeiro, and that way avoid problems with Brazil and Portugal. After the prince refused, other candidates were presented, such as Carlos II of Parma and Louis Philippe of France. The result then was more rejections. Would it be necessary to change strategy? In 1816, during the Congress of Tucumán, Belgrano presented a new proposal, the Inca Plan. It seems that Manuel not only had an affinity for Quechua culture by placing the May sun on the flag, but he also saw this past as a political opportunity. His arguments appealed to a real, pre-Hispanic past that everyone recognized would unite Creoles, mestizos, and indigenous people under a figure that represented original America. In addition, it could work as a propaganda move, a perfect antidote to the Spanish viceroyalty with its own American king. So, indeed, they looked for a candidate who had some connection to the Inca past, mainly Juan Bautista Tupac Amaru, brother of Jose Gabriel Condorcanqui and great-great-grandson of Tupac Amaru I, the last Inca of Vilcabamba. I imagine you're wondering now, El Mapa de Sebas, you've already talked a lot about Argentinians and caudillos from other countries. Did they agree? In Chile, some prominent figures, like Bernardo de Viera Pintado, sympathized with the idea. In Peru, there was no statement at all, while in Paraguay and Uruguay, then led by Dr. Francia and Jose Artigas, respectively, support for the project was almost non-existent. Anyway, Belgrano's ideas did not succeed. Within the United Provinces, the provincial leaders had the army and local loyalty, so they would not accept either a European or an Incan king. In addition, other important leaders, such as San Martin and Artigas, never showed support for this project. With this, we arrive at 1820, a key year. In that year, Belgrano is present, he passes away, and the Battle of Cepeda takes place, where the Federalists achieve an overwhelming victory over the Unitarians. With this, the monarchist and Unitarian project was completely buried. Curiously, 10 years before the death of Bolivar and the dissolution of Gran Colombia, when the Unitarian project in the north was buried. How do you think history would have been if Belgrano's ideas had taken root?